me, gang, that there's the Sea People's track called Used. Get down to the rail, too, April 21st, down on Farmington Road. You can catch these guys. Great group out of Maine. They've just recently hit the road and started their tour in support of a whole bunch of new stuff coming our way. And that's what we've got Mr. Will Bradford with us tonight to talk to us about this new tour, new music, and the road that leads to Peoria. So, Mr. Will Bradford, how the hell are you, man?
I'm doing excellent. Thanks for having me.
You're quite welcome, man. Before we go any further, I got to introduce my co-host and my road dog, a guy that we like to call Vic Nasty.
Hey, Will, what's going on, man? How's the New York nights treating you?
Oh, excellent, man. Excellent.
For sure.
So, Will, this morning you find yourself, waking up in Philadelphia? Is that where you're at this morning?
Yeah, we got halfway to D.C. We're in D.C. tonight, so we have a nice spot in Philadelphia. So we're waking up in Philly.
Fucking right, man.
Woke
You
up.
gonna go do the Rocky dance, run the stairs, and fucking dance around and shit? But woo!
You know, I don't think this time, but we've certainly done that before. So.
Fucking right, man. Well, listen, the tour. You guys are on the road, just started, and you got a long road ahead of you in support of new music. New American Dream was the latest video released. Love that thing. Done by Pete List, from like Celebrity Deathmatch and work with Manson and all that crazy shit.
Yeah.
Tell us. I mean, me personally, because that video was rather political, if you at the least. And I'm such a cynic, man. I mean, for a short period of time, I kind of bought into the Trump thing where I thought, man, maybe this guy's for real. But I got to remind myself, left or right, red or blue, politicians, they don't give a fuck about me. So I wanted to ask, what was it about, the current trending situations that made you guys create this video and go with that theme?
Yeah. It's interesting. That song was actually written back. It was actually written the night Bush invaded Iraq. Many, 13 years ago now. Yeah, so it's actually a really old song, and we just sort of felt like it was sort of relevant again, and with the video, and sort of our opinion, it's kind of the super anti-political, really. We're kind of in that same boat that Red, White, Blue. It's kind of us and them, and there's the money party, and then there's the rest of us,
right,
in the world. So we kind of felt like we were making something pretty anti-political there. So,
Oh yes, my man. Now, as you mentioned, that song, "New American Dream," it's a 13-year-old song. You guys have been at this for a while, and for a lot of people, they hear that hit on the radio and think, oh, here's this new band. Or they see this video and they're like, oh, these guys are, there's this new music out by these new guys. And it's like, wait a minute, man. They've probably been touring and playing for 20 years and finally got the opportunity, finally got that break.
Yeah, 17 years now. It's been going,
17
it's been going for a while. 17 years, yeah.
Long freaking time now.
I'm getting older.
Well, bro, I gotta ask. I turned 42 back in October. The older you get, does it just like fucking go faster? I mean, it seems like the months are just ticking by now.
Yeah, I have noticed that as well. I try to shut that out.
Right? I mean, put the brakes on something, man.
Yeah.
I got lots to do. So, anyway, Hate is the new EP release. That's the tour that you guys are embarking on right now. Let's see. Oh my goodness, how many dates are you guys playing on this tour?
I'm not even entirely sure.
That's a lot of dates.
Good amount of them though. Yeah,
well,
it's
and this stop here in Peoria, I know was an recently added stop to the schedule. I had noticed one schedule wasn't on there, and so I figured it was probably something you guys added to pick up a date. When it comes to playing venues, I mean, I got to ask, do you guys prefer the bigger things, or do you prefer the more intimate setting?
You know what? We prefer any room where there's ears that are listening. Really, truly. After doing this for 17 years, you really don't take things for granted. And little rooms, big rooms. It really every night has the potential to be something cool and something different. And it's not always dependent on how many people are there, how big the room is. It's usually if you got open ears in the room, that's the best recipe for having a good time for sure.
Hell yeah. Well, Vic, let me throw it over to you, man. I'm sure you're full of questions.
Well, after listening to your music for a while now, just myself from what I hear, elements in your music of like, early 80s, electronic and, pop and, the whole, the whole punk sound and everything. And also, elements of, fusion and jam band. I mean, what are your, your band's, influences and, what musical background do you come from?
Yeah. So, when the band started back, I actually used to be a DJ, a trance DJ.
Right.
So the way back in the day, the electronic music scene and the rock and roll music scene were not so intertwined as they are today.
Right.
And I used to kind of like going to both parties. I always sort of be at one type of party, and always wondering in the back of my head why my other friends would or how they would most certainly dig it. And so it kind of started at SeepeopleS with the idea of really just kind of doing whatever we wanted, every kind of music.
Right.
So the everybody in the band has other projects. They make kind of every type of music under the sun, and so we just sort of, it's kind of the one rule of the band is that there really are no rules musically. So that new song is a punk song. We're certainly not really a punk band, but we like making punk, I guess, once in a while.
Right.
Really just whatever speaks,
And also to our, listeners that might be unfamiliar, your band name is, SEE people with an S, as SeepeopleS. That's a rather unique name. I mean, sometimes, I want to think like SEA, like the sea or the ocean peoples, but it's actually, sea like sight. Where does a name like that come from?
Well, back in the day when the band first started, we had another member who didn't really want to tour, so
right.
So he left. That was kind of part of it. Was just that that was what we did. Was we went out and saw people. But yeah, the SeepeopleS of I don't know if you know who they were. Definitely an influence. I don't know if you know who the ancient SeepeopleS were mentioned in the Bible.
Also, you mentioned earlier, all the fusion you see now, and the intermingling of music styles and stuff like that. But from a personal standpoint, I know you like it because you dabble in each individual field of music. But what do you think about the EDM, the electronic, making such a strong surge, into popular music and even rock and roll?
It's been interesting to watch over the years. I definitely when I was very young and I was kind of heavily involved in that scene, it was a very underground thing. It was definitely
right.
Something parents didn't know about, because if they did, they'd probably lose it.
Definitely.
And it's changed a lot, but there are times when I hear stuff that probably it makes me feel a little old, and it takes me a little longer to understand. But in general, yeah, I mean it's I kind of look at music as a perfect universal language, something that kind of everyone can understand. So when the scope of the language gets more broad, that can really never be a bad thing,
Definitely. When people get out here to Peoria to see you that might not be familiar with you, or know your music, and they're, wanting to come to the show and everything, what can they expect from a SeepeopleS show?
Kind of everything.
Definitely.
We play a lot of different kind of stuff, but it's we like to dance, and we like kind of having a big feel session. A lot of the songs are kind of just about life, and sometimes just being in the room with other people and sharing it together, and kind of having kind of having maybe a party that slightly thought-provoking is not the end of the world either, you know?
Definitely.
Will, I wanted to ask you, man, obviously music is the focus of your life, but outside of music, is there anything else that you do? Do you do any sort of teaching or anything like that?
You know what? I don't. Music has been a full-time hustle for probably since about 2002. So it's been I dropped out of college, so at this point I think I'm so underqualified. I think I'm disqualified.
Kind of stuck with the career path
everything
you're on?
else. Yeah. Oh, I literally, I think I'm utterly worthless in every other department of life. So I think I gotta kind of stick with this.
Oh yeah, I had there's a lot of groups that are out there right now that I guess aren't I don't want to call them mainstream. You don't hear their music on the radio. You don't necessarily, especially with MTV. I mean, hell, they don't even play videos anymore.
Yeah.
With streaming and everything that's available, to reach the audience, there's so many different avenues these days. You don't have to rely on the big record labels to get your music out to the people. When it comes to releasing the music and reaching the masses, kind of drawn a blank with how I want to frame this question.
Well, when you figure out how to do that, you let me know.
I would say, do you find it easier today to reach the audience with your new music, with technology, or do you think technology's kind of a double-edged sword? I guess is kind of the question I'm looking at, because once you put the digital copy out there, people can just fucking copy it and you never make a dime off of it.
Yeah, I mean, you make a little bit. It's certainly it's certainly a little bit soul crushing when you see how little you make per stream. But I do think it's a double edged sword, of course. But there's an element of anyone being able to access music, to be able to get a streaming service and basically build a collection of music without having to spend a lot of money, and I think that's a really good thing. I think that when money prevents somebody from checking out new music, then that's a problem. So I think there's something that's really great about everyone having access to it. With that said, I think that there's sometimes there's a value in the mind of the consumers lost a little bit. There's something about sort of having something to own in your hands. So I think if people can realize the music is still the music can still be precious. It can still be a gift, even if it's sort of floating in the in the ether. It doesn't necessarily have to have a hard cover, which, if you need that though, and that makes it a closer bond to your heart, then that I have a huge record collection that, if everything in my house floods and everything's destroyed, but my records are okay, I'm all right. You know what I mean?
Fuck yeah, happy camper. So what do you got? What are you listening to right now? What's in your player?
What's in my player right now? Oh, geez, these days I've been listening to some pretty different stuff lately. I've really been listening to the Silk Road Ensemble, which is Yo-Yo Ma's new sort of project, and Kronos Quartet. So I've sort of been listening to a lot of classical lately, to be totally honest. It's nice when after you've had drums banging and loudspeakers banging in your ears. It's kind of nice to hear a different dynamic,
For sure, man. Something a little more relaxing, put your mind at ease.
Yeah, that and the gangster rap that my 14-year-old son sends me.
Sweet.
Yeah. I feel like it's my fatherly duty to check it out. Most of the stuff, I can get hip to. He sent me he got me into Earl sweatshirt, which I really, really liked. And every once in a while, he'll send me something, and I'll be like, well, so I'm not sure about this one. I think this might just suck. Or I'm old, one of the two, but I'm leaning more towards suck.
Oh, shit. So, Will, let me ask this. Is there like a dream gig for you guys, whether it be a certain event or playing with a certain group, or in a certain location? Is there like this fucking dream gig for you guys?
Gosh, man, I think maybe back in the day, I really, it's just any time there's people listening, you know what I mean? You really, I kind of stopped. Maybe it's because I've been doing this for so long, but you kind of just get into, you do it because you do it, and once you kind of get into that mode, then you almost just sort of kind of learn to accept every night, and you really learn that any night can sort of end up being the funnest night ever. You just never know, which is kind of why you gotta get out there and give yourself the chance. I think playing shows, or I guess whatever you do in life, really, you just gotta get out there and be there, so that when good things can happen, you're there to experience it. So I kind of don't, man. I really, Peoria. Hey, if people come out, that could be the funnest gig I've ever played in my life. And you just
right.
never know. I hope it is.
Oh yeah. So no playing like under a waterfall or on top of Mount Everest or anything crazy like that.
Oh well, yeah. I guess if you really, yeah. Now that you mention it, yeah, I think we'd like to do the Everest gig.
That'd be fucking awesome, man. First band ever.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to climb to the gigs. I'm hoping they have like some sort of,
fucking helicopter
livery or something. Yeah, something. I don't think helicopters go that high, so I'll probably need a snowmobilist or something.
So you guys are you're in D.C. tonight, and then where are you going after D.C.?
D.C., I think we have a day off, and then we're going down to North Carolina, Georgia, which is the band was based out of Asheville, North Carolina for about 8 years. So kind of going to, sort of home territory, even though I don't live there anymore. It's still was there for a very long time, so I have a lot of friends in North Carolina and Georgia. My wife is from Georgia, so Hotlanta is what they call it down there.
Hotlanta, baby. All right.
Yeah,
how about without throwing anybody under the bus or like incriminating yourself in any way? Is there like any what's the wildest road story from the road? Like crazy chicks trying to stow away in the back of the van.
What's your go-to, Will? What's your go-to?
I got to think of a PG-13 one, man. Hold on a second. Oh wow, that's so many. Wow, that's a really tough one. I'm trying to think of something recently. Yeah, that's a tough one, man. I got to be honest.
I totally understand where you're coming from.
I got one for you. We played this very interesting festival once. This had to be probably 14 years ago in Lawrence, Kansas. They do this. I think they still do it. They do a medieval Renaissance type festival, but they combine it with a music festival. So it's really interesting. You had people dressed in medieval garb and walking around. So it's just a really strange setting. But then they had their fighting tournament, where they do the pillow swords, and they had they had the regular division, but then they had a kid slash. I'm trying to think the political correct way to say small people. What's the political correct? Little people. Wait, are my booking agents right here? What a vertically challenged? I think that's not it.
God damn it.
Well, let's say formerly known as midgets. So they had a kids / formerly known as midgets division, which as we were watching this, it turned out to be extremely unfair because, as we know, it's really just fully grown men beating the crap out of small children. With those children's parents watching, you know what I mean, watching this happen, it was one of the most interesting things I've ever seen on the road. I never
That
forgot
would be
it.
nuts, man. Holy shit.
It was, yeah. Oh, and the winner, too. I mean, he was so excited when he won, and I was just like, man, I'm not trying to be mean and all, but he did just, pound that little child into submission.
They just beat up a 5-year-old. Fuck, man.
Yeah, it was so unfair. I was just like, somebody needs to rethink these competition categories here. This is
Oh shit. Well, Vic, let me.
That's the best one I got for you.
All right.
Definitely. What are your plans for the future, Will? I mean, where do you see yourself? Once the road's gone and you're sitting back with the grandkids, where are you gonna be at then?
I'll probably still be on the road.
For sure.
I think at this point, I don't even think about any retiring or anything else. I'll probably just do this right until I plop. So that's probably still be doing this, but maybe we'll be doing another radio interview in 40 years.
No shit, man. He ain't
I'll be
fell
talking
over
how much
yet,
I
y'all.
really
He's still
hate the
doing it.
gangster rap. My grandson's gangster rap will be making me feel even older at that point.
Damn it.
Damn. Well, listen, Will, for our listeners, they can go over to SeepeopleS. It's SeepeopleS.com. They can pick up the Hate EP over there. They can even pick up some of these badass New American Dream T-shirts that I'm looking at right now.
Yeah.
Do the models come with? Is there a price that includes them?
Yeah, I wish. I think that
hopefully that's not your wife or anything. I don't want to insult you.
No, not at all. They would be
cool,
flattered.
Man.
I'll let them know.
For sure, man. We will take them with us. Oh my goodness.
Cool.
And greetings from SeepeopleS, the Love State. The Love EP's even on here. National Park T-shirt. Hell yeah, I'm digging this shit, man. Who did the artwork for the Hate EP cover?
A wonderful girl named Victoria Carroll, who's been working with our band for probably 15 years now. She does great work. She's quite an artist.
I'm digging it, man. And we had mentioned your New American Dream video that just dropped April 1st. Pete List, from Celebrity Deathmatch fame and working with Marilyn Manson and different folks. How did that connection come about?
It was he plays in a band with one of my friends in New York City. He's a musician himself, and we that sort of kind of met through him, and I guess at some point we probably started talking politics at some point,
right.
And he realized we sort of saw eye to eye, we just sort of got talking, and truth be told, I've been driving around the country nonstop for years, and especially this last 3 years, really been on tour a lot the last 3 years. So we, really traveled through every state, actually, went to a bunch of Bernie Sanders rallies, went to a bunch of Trump rallies, actually, myself. And, it's one of those things that gets lost, I think, that we really wanted to make clear was just that, we've always sort of lived together in this country. People are going to argue left and right. People are always going to disagree. That's kind of the point. The point is that we have all these sides, and
we're not all the same.
What ends up sort of working for everyone is sort of right down the middle, where we can find common ground. And I feel like common ground has been just, people even forgot it existed. Like everyone kind of forgot that, at one point we all went to high school together. We probably all played on sports teams together. We certainly probably all went and partied together. And, we kind of are so full of emotion right now. We kind of all lost the sight that, at the end of the day, regardless of what we think, we're always going to have common ground because we're all human beings. So, it really was a real point that I thought, especially for younger people. Watching my son, he's 14 now, kind of come into the world and seeing the world that he has to deal with. To really kind of make clear that the message that maybe, just maybe, everyone in the political parties, regardless of blue, red, Democrat, whatever, it doesn't matter. They're all people that have had an agenda for a long time, a personal agenda. You kind of need that to be a politician. You gotta want people to love you, or else you're never going to get elected. So, at the end of the day, there's a big difference between the people who are in Washington D.C., the people that are lobbying with this big money, whatever it is, whatever they're lobbying for, and then there really is sort of everybody else. We're not all necessarily invited to that party. Whether we think we are, like we're very possibly that we're not. And so it's really important that that we wanted to kind of make this video and be like, you know what, just put this in your head. Put this in your head as a possibility that maybe, just maybe, we're all in it together. And then there's sort of everyone, those people over there. And there's a great Pink Floyd song called "Us and Them," which I don't know if you remember that song, "Us and Them" off Dark Side of the Moon. But that, and that's a song that, there's a lot of conservative people, a lot of Trump supporters. Guess what? They like that song. There's a lot of people on the other end of things that they like that song too. And that was a great message that Pink Floyd put out. So, it's sort of try to continue in the tradition of a long-standing narrative. You know what I mean?
For sure. And, one other connection. This past week, when I posted that you were going to be on the show, Nate Edgar, he plays bass with Nth Power and some other groups, had commented on there that, and I think even shared the video that, he'd known you for quite a while. What's the connection with Nate? Because I really dig Nate's work, whether he's playing with
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's funny because part of the reason why I'm so tired is because their drummer, Nikki, kept me up all night. She came to the show last night.
Oh, did she?
We had to have a late night hang. But, yeah, I'm actually producing their new music right now. I've known Nate for SeepeopleS used to tour with Nate's old band that he used to be in that still tours, John Brown's Body, which is truly one of the great reggae bands on the scene. They've been doing it for 20 years. If you don't know about that band, they're an awesome band, and Nate was in that band for a long time. So Nate is from the same area as I am, and where SeepeopleS records all their music, which is at this place, Chill House Studios in Boston. Nate used to do all his reggae projects out of there. We're talking decades now.
Right.
And so I got to know Nate a long time ago. So it's actually kind of cool that, after all these years, we're kind of finally getting to work with each other. We've kind of been wanting to do that for a long time. So yeah, right now I've been sort of actually in between tours. I've been in the studio with the Nth Power, which is awesome band. Great players too.
Fuck, they came through Peoria. I think it was 2 years ago, and we had Nikki and Nikki Glaspie and also Nikki Casarino. They were both on the show.
Yeah. Cool.
Great, fun folks to talk to, man. And when I saw that connection, I had to ask. And if and when they go back on tour, put the bug in their ear. They need to come back to Peoria.
They need to come back. All right, I will.
Yes,
I will definitely do that.
That'd be awesome.
They're busy, so that.
Oh yes, man.
Yeah, well, when you do this for a while, you start to get to know a lot of bands. I think I could say at this point that I know a lot of bands.
Hell yes, my man. Probably, I could probably sit here and just pick your brain for hours and be fascinated with the stories that if we weren't recording, that you would share.
Yeah, that's true. I got to keep this PG-13 at least, right?
Oh, well, hey, we're not trying to throw anybody under the bus today. Let's not do that.
Good call.
Well, listen, man, I don't want to take too much more of your time from you this morning. I know, Vic Nasty, he's got to get back to what he's doing. And I know you guys got to get on the road and get to D.C. D.C. by what? I don't know, by about 3, 4 o'clock today. Sound check.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think we got to get there by 4. Yeah. Get to the nation's capital. In
D.C., baby, no other place to be. Are you closing? Or are you New American Dream? You're going to close with that tonight, or are you opening with it?
You know, I don't know. It's we kind of feel that one out. I think last night we closed.
Definitely.
You gotta play to the room, you know.
I feel you, man. Well, Vic, do you got any final questions or parting shots for Mr. Will Bradford?
We'll just keep on the grind out there, man. It does my heart good to see you going after it, and no matter what it is, your dream, even if it's after you think you should be retired, you're still out there on the road. Just keep it going, man. I love it.
Thanks, man.
And Will, again, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to talk with us. And it's 11 days and counting as we record this interview. You'll be here April 21st down at the Rail 2 on Farmington Road with SeepeopleS bringing the noise, baby. Bring your dancing shoes, folks. And Will,
definitely.
With the last minute or two we got, I just want to give you the opportunity to let our listeners know how they can find you guys. And stay up to date on all the tour information and all that good shit.
Yeah, just SeepeopleS.com. You can find all the tour date info and pretty much at Facebook.com/SeepeopleS. Our virtual presence is solid. You'll as long as you SeepeopleS one word, you will likely find us on the interwebs.
Hell yes. Well, Will, for myself, Vic, and everybody listening to this recorded interview that we're doing, I just want to say thanks, man, for taking the time, and best of luck on the road, and keep all four wheels on the road, rubber to the road, baby.
We will. We'll get there with 3 if we have to. Hopefully, we won't.
Hell yeah.
We'll see you in 11 days.
All right, homeboy. You be well, and thanks again, Will.
Cool, buddy. Talk to you guys soon.
Later, man.
Peace.